one of India's most expansive airside projects.
We hardly have say like 15-20 minutes for an hour. We need to immediately close. We can call this as a major rehabilitation of runway.
Using 100,000 metric tons of materials.
So when we actually created the plan, we realized that we need to do something differently.
Ahmedabad radar clear, descent level 200. Expect some holding short of Alpha.
On a runway that remained operational.
It 1, bay number 8, VR 165, Soul Security, requesting push and start.
Close to 600 men, 400 vehicles, which is going to use the active airside of this airport.
This is a major challenge, obviously. There are 6 aircrafts holding overhead, just waiting for me to hand over runway.
Not missing a beat.
Total airline schedule would go for a toss.
Operation GP1000 from now you can hand over the runway by 150.
We are racing on the time. Let's see.
1 million man-hours later, a record-breaking victory. is the only operational airstrip at the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport. The airport is located in Ahmedabad and acts as the gateway to the state of Gujarat, India. The airport handles over 225 aircraft movements and approximately 30,000 passengers per day. SVPIA handled over 11 million passengers in 2019-2020, becoming the 7th busiest airport in India. SVPIA operates one of the busiest single runways in the world. As thousands of flights take off and land on the runway every year, immense amounts of force is exerted by the airplanes. It also goes through intense heat of the engine blast and friction from the braking of the airplanes. All of these and interactions with weather elements lead to wear and tear of the runway. And so, to maintain continuous and safe operations, recarpeting of the runway is required every few years.
This is a really massive exercise to make sure that we create a new runway which is DGCA compliant and is really state-of-the-art in quality.
But recarpeting the runway would mean closing it down for regular flights. And SVPIA only has one runway. Closing down the runway would mean crippling the city's air transport and leaving thousands of travelers stranded. So shutting down the airport is not an option.
So it's very huge task. The team is working on some innovative ways to do this work. We are racing on the time. Let's see.
Aside from the overlay work, the project includes 2 storm water drains to be made parallel to the runway to improve drainage efficiency at the airport. Installation of a complete airfield lighting system with runway centerline lights and touchdown zone lights to enhance visibility, and construction of future taxiway stubs to increase the number of average aircraft movements, thereby improving the overall safety of the airside.
The greenfield project normally of this size would have taken 2 seasons, approximately 320 working days. And that would have been very comfortable to convince anyone that in terms of the volume of work that is involved in this. So when we actually created the plan, we realized that we need to do something differently.
And so the already mammoth task is made even more tedious.
So we're recarpeting the entire runway while the airport remains operational. This is a major challenge, obviously. The way we have to plan for it is to ensure that once the project is started and finished, each day the runway is back to operational standards and the flights can land and take off again.
The plan is to recarpet the runway every day from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., after which the runway is handed over for flight operations until 9 a.m. the next day. Looking at similar projects around the country, recarpeting projects have taken several months to complete. However, SVPIA is only 3 months until the deadline.
0250.
And every morning, there will be a rush of adrenaline at the airport, as the air traffic controllers will have to ensure that all flights take off before 9 a.m. And in the evening, the Adani team will race to hand over the runway to operations.
Expect some holding at 30 miles, short of Alpha Alpha Echo.
Even a delay of 5 minutes can congest the entire airspace, which could have catastrophic effects for the air traffic and the passengers. So every single day, the system will have to function like clockwork till the project is completed.
Okay team, today is the first day of the
Day
project.
1, and first of many sunrise meetings. All of the team's planning comes to test now.
First, initially, we are starting with the milling portion. First milling, then we'll go with the cleaning of the surface. Then for the pack coat, then we'll start the paving.
The process involves recarpeting a selected portion of about 200 meters daily, and over time, covering the entire runway in these patches. And while handing over the airstrip, the patch on which the work is executed has to match the existing airstrip with respect to gradient and balance.
The project is huge. The length of runway is 3,505 meters and into 45 meters of width. In addition to that, there is shoulder 7.5 meters on both the sides. 3,505 into 60 meters. That is the amount of area that we need to recarpet. It is ranging from 3 to 7 layers. In addition to that, there is RESA, which is 240 meters, the end of runway 23, and 90 meters on the end of runway 05. So that entire area would have to be graded to the standards. So it's a huge, huge project, and the timelines are very stringent.
To finish the work in a shorter time, the team goes up with a plan of bringing in a larger workforce and more machinery. They also decide to install not one, but 2 180 tons per hour asphalt production plants at the site. These plants will produce 200,000 metric tons of asphalt, which is enough to construct a 200-kilometer road.
We make sure that every bit of asphalt that we have produced is laid down on this runway, and we put it back to operation in the end of the day.
By installing extra machinery and deploying a larger team, the management has calculated a new target. The deadline now stands at 90 days. Will they be able to achieve it? The Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport is going to get a facelift. There's a plan to recarpet its only airstrip. SVPIA was acquired by the Adani Group in 2020. the third airport in their portfolio. Adani Group, headquartered in Ahmedabad, Gujarat, is an Indian conglomerate with business interests in world-class transport and utility infrastructure. Transport logistics and energy utility portfolio businesses focusing on large-scale infrastructure development in India.
So the way we see airports is that it's one of the largest opportunities for us to serve the nation.
We aim to develop an ecosystem that has airports and consumers at its core.
Back at the airstrip, relaying is not the only work the project team has to do. SVPIA traditionally was not designed with drains, so during the monsoon, waterlogging came in the way of operations. To find a permanent solution, the team decided to build drains around the airstrip, 8.5 kilometers in length, built using around 4,000 tons of steel and 300,000 metric tons of earthwork. And in the team's endeavor of future-proofing the infrastructure, they are also making use of raw materials of the highest quality.
Main material which we are going to use here is fixed concrete. The main difference between this material and normal concrete is it is very quality-wise high standard material and it will give very high strength and in shorter span. That is why we are using this material.
In total, the project will be laying 40,000 cubic meters of concrete, which is enough to construct a 40-story building.
The way the entire airstrip planning has been done, the way that we select the materials, the way we have done our engineering is to ensure that safety is of zero compromise and to ensure that the runway has the maximum life.
The airport, originally set up by the British in 1937, was constructed as a military airstrip in World War II. At the end of the war, the world opened up to more travel. Advancements in technology made air travel more convenient and a viable mode of mass transportation, improving connectivity and accelerating economies.
It was the airport which was also influencing the civilization in a big way. And that entire economic development started around the airport without us realizing.
In 2019, passenger traffic worldwide was 4.5 billion, more than 3 times the population of the entire African continent. India alone flew 316 million passengers, close to the entire population of the United States of America. India is set to become the 3rd largest aviation market in the world by 2024. At the airstrip in Ahmedabad, the Adani team faces the challenges of relaying a live runway, like protecting the features of the runway.
In the morning when we get over the runway at 9 a.m., prior to that first we remove all these edge lights in the same chainage wherever the runway overlay work is going to happen. And we remove these lights safely and then provide a blanking plate over there. And then the same lights we refix again in the evening around 5:30. When we hand over the runway to the operations, all the lights should be again in the working condition.
During the rehabilitation, the team is also installing a complete airfield lighting system, equivalent to lighting an entire district of up to 14 villages. Regular checks and inspections are carried out on the airstrip while the work is still on. This is done by conducting tests like the pavement quality test and the core cutting test. Once the samples are collected from several different parts of the runway, they reach the lab for testing to evaluate if the quality of the runway is adequate for the aircrafts to land and take off on it. They also run a strength test using a weight deflectometer machine. This machine basically stimulates the average weight of the most frequented planes on the runway. At 5 p.m. every day, An hour before the resumption of flights, the Adani team prepares to hand over the runway back to operations. While doing so, the runway markings are redone. Airfield ground lights are restored, returning the runway to its original state.
The project team is doing the rehabilitation work, but challenge to me is I need to inspect the runway when all these people vacate the runway, and then everything is okay, then hand over the runway to ATC for operation.
Alpha, permission to enter runway 05.
Operational team number 2, turn order, enter runway Alpha.
Starting inspection from 05 and 545.
The inspection team has found a broken light on the runway. A broken light classified as an FOD.
Even after taking the due care for the saving of the cable, if some cable gets damaged, we are the team to join the cable and make it operational before we hand over the runway.
Finally, the runway is handed over to the airport authorities, just in the nick of time.
Runway handover in progress.
The runway handover time is 900 hours today.
The recarpeting
No
work
delay.
at SVPIA airstrip is going as per plan, but it isn't a smooth ride for the team.
Project team Apple controls.
Project team, go ahead.
Team Apple controls, for information, there's a delay in runway takeover.
Air India 321, Ahmedabad ground. 165 is monitored. Expect some delay.
The airside team is meant to take over the runway at 9 a.m. every day after the departure of the last scheduled flight. Today, a special situation throws the team off their schedule.
Guys, today there is a delay.
We can get into the plan.
The runway takeover. We need to implement plan B.
Plan B means to mobilize more workforce and machinery to expedite the day's work. But will they be able to make up for the lost time? The flip side of the frenzy at the airside is the terminal, where this time is utilized by the airport staff to do its daily maintenance and other checks, so that when the passengers arrive, they have a welcoming experience at the airport. Weather is another major component in the team's planning.
Ready for the day's work?
They meet to go through the weather forecast and plan the targets for the coming week.
Weather is good. Movements would be over by 8:55, so we can expect runway at 9 o'clock.
Gujarat falls in the subhumid region that sees the temperatures going up to high 40 degrees in the summers. This not only makes the daily work more tedious, but also affects the cooling down of the runway after the work is completed. The runway needs to cool down below 70 degrees before they can allow for normal operations to resume at the runway.
Then we will carry out the final inspection and we will close.
At the end of the day, despite the emergency situation, the Adani team ends up not only meeting their target, but even achieving a new goal of paving 4,178 metric tons of material, almost double of their daily target.
We have done 4,080. Please keep the same momentum.
Entire credit goes to our team and their dedication, hard work to achieve this target.
How is the Josh? Nice, sir.
The stakes rise with the project deadline not so far away. Even so, their morale and resilience doesn't deter.
The recarpeting of the runway is going to create some amount of disruption, but to counter that, we've made sure that we've used the best technology and the best initiatives to ensure that the passenger convenience will remain.
One such endeavor, unique to the airport, is its Goodness Desk. The Goodness Desk identifies old age passenger support, differently abled passengers, and passenger carrying more than 2 kids with trolley, and so on. There is a lot of anxiety and pressure on a passenger who walks into the airport to catch a flight. To reduce that anxiety, the Adani team identified various touchpoints where customer care executives are available to ensure all passengers are checked in stress-free and have a pleasant journey. The airstrip work is progressing at a breakneck speed, and the team has managed to stay ahead of the deadline even with stoppages in the work schedule. But even with such speed of work, the team tests regularly, ensuring safety of the planes and its passengers. Almost the end of the project, and the airside operations and engineering team at the airport decide to conduct another test.
This is a friction testing car and it tests the friction value of the runway. It has got some machines installed inside. It has got an extra wheel there in the middle of the 2 rear wheels, and it actually measures the friction value of our runway. We have certain parameters as set by the DGCA, and we need to maintain that values on the runway.
Owing to continuous operations and exposure to various weather elements, it is of utmost importance to conduct such safety tests on the runway to maintain a well-functioning airstrip at Ahmedabad. And this morning, the team's energy is high, and there are smiles on people's faces. And for good reason. The team seems to have pulled off what seemed like an impossible task.
Our internal target was of 90 days. Our team worked in day and day out to crash those timelines.
Last visit when we were in between milestones when we were going on, we saw the progress which was really fantastic. And from there, the team did it, and we are going to finish it in just 75 days.
Faced with extreme adversities against all odds, the team managed to survive all tests. Today, the Adani team hands over runway 0523 and it becomes fully operational again.
By seeing the efforts that they put in, and I'm not talking about our own team, but also the contractors, because the kind of mobilization of equipment that they have done, something that we demanded and they responded. And the way our internal team actually planned, that was something amazing. So I'm very proud of them and really grateful and thankful to them for what they have done for the project.
Final handing over of 0523 for full-time operation.
And the team eagerly waits for the first flight to land on the brand new airstrip. A water cannon salute welcoming the airplane and commemorating the new runway 0523.
Clear to land runway 23 airside 02, and the reason for the water cannon salute is?
Fly 802 tower, after months of work, runway will be available for 24/7 from now.
I take this opportunity to congratulate everyone who was involved in this project. It's a praiseworthy job, good job, brilliant.
And in doing so, the team has also set a national record by recarpeting the 3.5-kilometer long runway in just 75 days. An all-time best among brownfield runways in India.
We hear from pilots that land now and take off now. It's really improved the quality of the airport.
With sheer determination of the team, collaboration with different stakeholders, and seamless coordination within the team has led to a beautiful masterpiece you would experience at Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport. Working only 9 hours a day, Adani has ended up with a safer and more durable runway and some remarkable pieces of infrastructure. Runway 0523 is up and running again, operating at its full capacity. A runway that never sleeps.